I'd just like to say that Carole and I are absolutely delighted by today's announcement.
Let's move on to Princess Kate's mom, otherwise known as Super Granny. Carole Middleton is featured in this week's issue of People magazine, and as a grandma to royal babies, she is completely hands-on.
Ever since Kate Middleton married into the royal family,
a look of surprise and expression of wonder as the new bride walked out onto the balcony at Buckingham Palace. With the crowd chanting "Kiss," it was a moment tens of thousands in London and the millions watching on TV wanted to see.
There has reportedly been tension between Queen Camilla and Carole Middleton, the mother of the future Queen of England. However, in an unexpected move, Carole shocked everyone, especially Queen Camilla, who was left in tears. The surprising act by Carole Middleton has been making the headlines, with many wondering what really happened behind the scenes and what Carole must have said to Queen Camilla that brought her to tears. But what did Carole say? Stick around as we unveil the event that left Queen Camilla visibly shaken. Carole Middleton leaves. Queen Camilla in tears. For years, Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla have quietly clashed over their roles in the lives of the Wales children. The heart of their tension lies in how much access the Middleton family has had compared to the royal side.
Carole Middleton opened up about her passion for gardening and how she's encouraging her grandchildren to foster a love of growing plants and vegetables too.
Sources close to the family allege that Camilla was never entirely comfortable with how often the children spent time with their maternal grandparents compared to the royal side. It painted a picture of her being a distant step-grandmother, leading the public to draw comparisons between Carole and Camilla's grandparenting skills. But who was the better grandmother between the two? Let's find out. Many believed Camilla spent less time with the children because they weren't her biological grandchildren, which only fueled public sentiment. Though Camilla acted indifferent at first, over time it began to weigh on her, especially as Carole was often seen in photos enjoying time with the children, attending school events, hosting family outings, and even taking them on holidays. But can anyone fault her for being present and involved in her grandchildren's lives? Camilla and Carole were worlds apart. While Camilla had always prioritized the crown, Carole focused entirely on her grandchildren. She adored them deeply and cherished every moment spent with them, just like she did with her daughter, Kate. That deep mother-daughter bond made it easy for the children to connect with her. Unlike the more formal and at times strained relationship Camilla shared with Charles, and by extension with Kate, Carole's connection was natural and nurturing. Camilla could never truly expect to compete with Carole, not over William's acceptance, and certainly not over the children. This was because the role Camilla played in the death of Diana was still remembered. Maybe if Camilla hadn't come between Charles and Diana, the people's princess would still be alive today. Yet, despite Diana's absence, her presence was subtly felt through Carole Middleton, who remained ever present for her grandchildren. She and her husband, Michael Middleton, stood behind their daughter, supporting her unconditionally, even as she navigated royal life. The quiet power Carole held over her family wasn't loud or aggressive. It was natural, rooted in genuine love.
Carole Middleton is from a working-class family and grew up in public housing, while Michael Middleton's family is well off.
And it was precisely that quiet strength that wouldn't allow Camilla to belittle her. Instead, Carole found a graceful yet piercing way to address the issue, forcing Camilla to finally see her true reflection. Hence, the tears. But to truly understand how Carole Middleton could bring Queen Camilla to tears, we must first understand who she is and why Kate always turns to her when everything else falls apart. Carole Middleton is a woman who transformed over the years from an air hostess to the royal mother-in-law and grandmother of the future king. While this transformation was shocking, it was also inspiring. Her rise happened because of her determination and drive towards life. Carole came from humble beginnings. Her dad worked as a decorator, and her mom did part-time jewelry work. They lived in council housing in Ealing. then moved to a modest Victorian flat in Southall, West London. Carole went to the local high school like any regular kid. However, Carole dropped out of school at 16. She was tired of the schooling system and wanted something different, so she left. Her parents were unable to convince her to go back to school, as she didn't see the need. However, deep down, Carole still valued education and returned to finish high school. Unfortunately, she couldn't achieve her dream of becoming a teacher. She loved the idea of teaching, but when her parents couldn't afford her teacher training fees, she worked as a shop assistant at John Lewis before joining British Airways as a secretary. Eventually, she became an air hostess. It was during this period that she met the love of her life, Michael Middleton, a flight dispatcher and colleague at work. Michael came from a prominent Yorkshire family with aristocratic roots. His grandmother, Olive Middleton, was a VAD nurse alongside her second cousin, Florence, Baroness Airedale. Carole and Michael fell in love and got married on 21st June 1980. But this didn't make life any easier. They still had to struggle to build stability. They lived in Amman, Jordan, in a 2-story rented villa near the park and the nursery where Catherine went to school. During the early years of marriage, Michael had been promoted to a manager at BA, and they already had 2 children, Catherine, who was 2, and Pippa, who was 8 months old. Eventually, they decided to return to England for personal reasons. Carole explained she no longer wanted to be an expat mum, and Michael's assignment at British Airways was also ending. They returned to England in 1986, seeking a traditional English upbringing for their children. Determined to make something of herself, Carole worked hard. In 1987, shortly after the birth of their 3rd child, James Middleton, she had an idea that changed everything. She founded Party Pieces, a company that specialized in cataloging party supplies.
And later found wealth from their successful Party Pieces business. They were able to give Catherine and her siblings a traditional middle-class upbringing, sending them to private school and raising them in a beautiful home.
Interestingly, this multi-million-dollar company was born out of a need Carole noticed while planning Catherine's 5th birthday. Carole was trying to plan a fun birthday party for Catherine, but couldn't find anything suitable. Despite knowing her way around the shops, she found that all the shops had the same dull, basic, clown-themed plates, nothing bright or fun for kids. Carole noticed that there was a gap in children's party supplies in the market. Suddenly, this clicked an idea in Carole's brain, and she decided to make her party supplies by herself. She knew what party supplies kids loved at parties, so she began making beautiful, eye-catching supplies and sold them quickly because parents wanted something special for their children's celebrations. This was easy for Carole as she had kids of her own and shared a deep bond with them. But Carole wasn't alone in building the business. Her entire family was involved. Her children helped out whenever they could. Carole revealed that Party Pieces grew alongside her family. James baked cakes after leaving school, and Catherine developed the baby and birthday categories. It was heartwarming to learn how involved the whole family was in the business. Interestingly, Party Pieces changed everything for the Middletons. The business flourished and allowed them to send their children to prestigious private schools. They reached heights that Carole, who once dropped out of school, had only dreamed of. But Carole's story didn't end there. The Middletons made enough money to also purchase houses. In 1995, they bought Oak Acre, a Tudor-style manor house in Bucklebury, Berkshire. And in 2002, they paid in cash for a flat in Chelsea, London, where they lived with their children. Carole's company flourished, allowing them to grow steadily. But despite their success, they made sure they took care of their children, placing them as a priority before anything else, as they provided a warm family atmosphere where they always felt supported and loved. They also instilled family values in their children and taught them to set goals, assuring them that all goals were attainable if they believed. Princess Catherine's success in life and the royal family can be attributed to her mother, who made sure her daughter was raised the right way. Catherine had even called her mother her strength. Carole is seen as Kate's strength and pillar. Despite Kate's marriage to Prince William, the future King of England, Catherine was able to settle easily into the newly high society, as her mother supported her, encouraged her, and gave her advice when necessary. But Carole Middleton's influence in Catherine's life wasn't only personal. It extended to the lives of her 3 royal grandchildren, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Carole Middleton, the perfect mother and grandmother. Carole Middleton can be called the perfect mother and grandmother, as she continues to play an important role in Kate's life and her grandchildren's lives. Ever since Kate and William began their relationship after meeting at the University of St. Andrews, Carole has supported her daughter, giving her advice and reassuring her most of the time. She also played a great role in ensuring the royal wedding went smoothly. But she didn't stop there. Carole is actively involved in making sure Kate's role as a mother is made easier. While Carole Middleton has other grandchildren and shares an equal love for all of them, it is obvious that Carole's grandmother's roles are more pronounced and undeniable in the lives of the little royals. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. This is due to the busy schedule of their parents. We all know that royal life comes with a lot of duty and responsibility. Carole and Michael, however, support their daughter and grandchildren. They try their best to always be available to make sure the little royals don't grow up within the rigid walls of the royal palace, but also have a sense of normality, of what childhood and family are all about. The presence of the Middletons in William and Catherine's children's lives has once been described as the thing that made their royal lives feel ordinary. But this support didn't just start now. It began from the very start, from childhood to this day. During the early stages of Prince George's pregnancy, Princess Catherine stayed with her parents for some time before finally returning to her husband. And in 2013, when Prince William and Kate welcomed their first son, Prince George,
We'd been waiting for a while, so there was a camera or 2 ready for his first appearance. But although the birth and the name made headlines around the world, until today none of it was official. This afternoon, Prince George got a paper trail.
Carole and Michael couldn't contain their joy. They were the first family members to visit baby George at the Lindo Wing in London following his birth on July 22, 2013. But that's not all. To enjoy motherly care and love, Catherine moved to her parents' home at Bucklebury Manor in leafy Berkshire during the first weeks of George's birth. William was with her as well. He supported the decision, and they enjoyed this time with the Middletons. Carole Middleton is also known to help with bedtime and bath time with the kids. The nannies barely do anything to help the Middleton children, and this is because of Catherine's background, where they did most of their duties and childcare by themselves. This has helped shape Catherine into the woman she is today. In 2024, during Princess Catherine's treatment for her cancer diagnosis, when she stayed away from the public, she was seen at her parents' house, where she enjoyed comfort and healing.